Well, we're going to get started here in about 10 seconds, actually. So we're going to give everyone a little lay of the land with what we're going to be talking about today. And for starters, my name is Byron White. I'm your host, along with Heather Lloyd-Martin, a CEO of SEO Copywriters. Happy to have you on board, Heather.
Thank you.
So today we're going to cover some very diverse terrain and an all-important terrain, and studying some characteristics of great writers. What is their DNA and their fabric? What are the new essentials that great writers really need to be effective and successful? We're going to cover some steps on how to create great content and some primary, pivotable, essential steps that you need. We're going to dive into performance measurement, which is always a fun and interesting topic, and offer some ideas and thoughts there on how to track and measure the performance of great content. But then, most importantly, Heather and I have decided to take an interesting format with her part of the discussion, and I'm going to blow through mine in about 10 or 15 minutes. And we're going to just sort of use this as an opportunity to be much more interactive in this presentation. I've got some questions that Heather and I have formulated that I think are really get right to it and offer some really good insight for a wide variety of needs that either writers and or managers of content need out there. So we're going to stay a little bit interactive. And during that segment, I want to encourage everybody to ask some questions that they want to ask for either and I. I'll start out with my questions. I've got 10 tough questions to ask Heather, but we want to hear from you and what your thoughts are and your questions that you'd love to hear us talk about and expand upon. So without further ado, I'm going to blow through the first famous section of these monthly content marketing webinars, and that is a quick, about a 10-slide view of what is content marketing. And there is a revolution happening, so let's dig in. I define content marketing as the art of listening to the wants and needs of your customers and the science of delivering that content to them in a compelling way. And what we really need to understand on that delivery aspect is we're not just talking about articles or news feeds. We're talking about the new ensemble of content marketing, which extends into ebooks and RSS feeds and podcasts and webinars and workbooks and widgets and apps and all kinds of interesting things. The word compelling being the centerpiece of all of those. It's constantly testing campaigns to see what works and what doesn't work, A/B testing, multivariate testing, eye tracking, and really trying to learn if you've nailed those wants and needs of customers by looking at your conversion rates, by the action that people took on your website. You next want to look at looking at content marketing in terms of measuring readers' engagement and their desire for more, and looking at the analytics on your pages and how many downloads are happening and how much time is being spent on the page and what kind of action is happening. So there's a lot of different complex things that you need to look at when you start talking about engagement and even how to measure it. But the other art, if you will, that we need to practice and or science, depending upon how you look at it, is just the art of catching people that are orbiting at high speeds. We need things like apps and desktops and mobile feeds and RSS feeds to really catch readers at the right time in the right place when they're ready, willing, and able to take action or be moved and engaged by the content that you're creating. And speaking of engagement, you need content that certainly is going to be hip and cool and talked about. And when we start thinking about things like apps and XM Radio and even Salesforce.com, in integrating content asset interaction with Salesforce, there's a lot of different things that you need to think about with how your content is going to be used, how it's going to be tracked, and creative ideas there. So without much further ado, let me see while it's also developing a pipeline of people that can interact with your content. And we're actually going to be offering a whole new segment of a whole new monthly webinar next month, as a matter of fact, dedicated to the what we call the content pipeline, and scoring leads and using Salesforce and really digging deep into the whole content pipeline and using content interaction as a scoring vehicle to rank your prospect customers in sort of an inbound marketing way, and developing a little bit of content for you around that topic area. and this is where the scoring of content really comes into play. So without further ado, I want to talk today about writers and some characteristics, and I'm just going to list 10 characteristics that we're seeing in our office here. And a quick footnote to this, we represent literally thousands of writers here at ideaLaunch. We have a whole website dedicated to the promotion of these writers called Writer Access. And if you look back on my roots, it extends back to the founding of Life Tips, where we have hundreds of gurus that are experts in topic areas creating content over on the lifetips.com website. And if you look even further back in my history, it goes back to a company I founded in 1992 called Freelance Access, which is a graphic arts placement agency. And I tell you all of this because I've literally seen in my day thousands of portfolios from writers, web designers, graphic designers, illustrators, production artists, and there are, without a doubt, I think, a new breed of writers that are popping up, that are really becoming, I think, the centerpiece of marketing. Finally, I think writers are having their debut with being a really critical part of marketing and online success. So that's exciting, and let's look at a few characteristics. So to me, writers are a bit like actors with really powerful research tools. They research the time and the place, namely a search box. What are people looking for? That should be an indication of what they should be writing about. They inhabit the lives of the characters that they're trying to create using analytics. They learn the lines with keyword research. They get under the skin of the target audience by identifying the wants and needs. They create a script, basically, and ask for audience participation with A/B testing. And they perform flawlessly day after day with your content actually performing and developing conversions. And what great writers are also doing is they understand how to uncover customer wants and needs. They're looking at, we mentioned the search spots a bunch of times. I think one of the most underutilized assets on any website is the search box. It's amazing what you can learn in studying what people cannot find by looking at a page on your website. But they're also looking at frequently asked questions and emails that have been perhaps submitted to customer service. We're looking at discussions with customer service reps, which is something that I think very few people in the marketing world are doing these days, not to mention writers. And what about the sacred art of actually having a live discussion with some customers and learn how they speak and how they talk and how they literally describe the website of the customer that you're going to create content for. How many writers do you know are reviewing web analytics and geeking out and studying traffic patterns? Probably not too many. And how many people are encouraging their clients to get feedback on the content that's published on their website and really taking that feedback to heart and modifying the style and the tone of the content based upon that feedback. What great writers are also doing, and I'll take a breath there, I do talk very quickly, but I want to cover things quickly, but they also understand, what readers really want. And if you study what readers want, certainly credibility and exposure to new worlds, they want to laugh, they want to cry, they want intimacy. But if you look at web readers, they have a different set of needs, and web readers are in a hurry. They want access to specific information. They love personalization. They want authority advice. So there's a different set of needs really happening when you understand when you really dig and look at what readers want.